Okay, guys, I have no idea what's going on. I think this is a Twitch issue. If you're having issues with the broadcast, check on YouTube. See if the YouTube broadcast is working. I don't know what's going on. I do apologize. I really do. My internet right now seems fine. I'm connected with flying colors to Discord and to the race as we see a big off from second place Merchant, trying to gain back time, and I don't think it's going to be enough. Daniel Costa looks to have locked out P1 for the LMP or the LMDH class. Pardon my half interest here. I am trying to check and see just what the broadcast looks like over on YouTube. Still looks like it's behind. Okay, I am going to have to call the field of greens, so bear with me here, everybody. Hopefully I don't lose connection while calling the field of green. I'll do my best. It seems to be a stream issue, though, not a internet issue right now, so...
Yeah, because obviously we don't hear him talking.
Yeah.
Do we wait for him? Oh, there he is.
Oh.
Hey.
I was gonna unmute as soon as I saw it come through. I was just
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So are you ready for us then?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, everybody. Here we go. Get your setups ready. You got 2 minutes, and then it is race time.
For all but one of us.
You sounded so disappointed with that.
No, I'm actually I'm not too terribly upset. Like I'm
He's
gonna
like, I'm
enjoy
not too
watching.
terribly. I'm not too terribly upset. It's gonna be a freaking flood. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm ready to watch all your guys' suffering.
Yeah. I don't know. The field looks pretty tight. As always, LMDH and LMP2 is gonna be it's gonna be a cage match. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, everybody. Once we are in our formation to start the race, please keep on your brakes, and Les Paul will guide you for your class. Please and thank you. And if you are in a different class group to start, please join your class when he calls the class out. You don't have to sit with the other classes, if that makes sense.
Yep. So
if you're an
Moza,
LMP2, please join
Moza
the
in here?
LMP2s. If you're an LMDH, please join the LMDHs.
yeah, if Moza and
20 seconds,
Fitzy,
ready up.
yeah, you guys will just go around the GT3s when you get in.
Second place, and Daniel Costa, ready up.
It's gonna wait for me.
There we go.
Damn, I DNF'd.
Stay on your brakes, please. It's all you, Les Paul.
All right, prototypes go. LMP2s go.
I got an LMP2 behind me that's kind of...
GT3s go. Let the LMP2 through.
There we go.
Alrighty.
Someone's not paying attention. He's just wrecked, sir.
Somebody isn't in the freaking Discord.
Who?
I think Moza or whatever the
Okay.
Purple Dragon
Yeah.
LMP2 is.
All right. LMDH is slow down just a touch. Close the gap on the guys behind you a little. I don't know, Dan, and instead of confusing everybody, I'm going to let the driver sort that one out. All right. Looking good so far.
Which side was Daniel C on?
Right.
I think he was on the outside when he started.
Okay. So GT3s, we're gonna have to switch sides from what we started in the on the standard.
All right, coming through the final turn of the oval, you'll want to start stacking up 2 by 2. LMDH, you're green. Go, 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 go. LMP2s, I'm on board with you all now. Green, go, 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 go. Green, go, 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 go. Good luck, guys. All right, everybody, we are underway and racing here on board with Cardini now, who is our race leader in the rain at the moment. Had a bit of a jump off the start. Got second place Merchant and Daniel Costa. Second place Merchant now looking to reclaim that position back. As we fight going into turns 8 out onto the oval, this will be his best passing opportunity, I think, but he's going to be late on the brakes over Cardini into Le Mans chicane. That's what he's hoping for as we jump back down. Sir's got the jump, maintaining a good lead over Jeff H., his strongest competition in Ruxy, back here in the back of the fight, or in the back of Sir, I apologize, trying to fend off losing track of everything. Jeff H., sorry. We've now got some movement back here. Papa Bless getting around Moza. Moza is LMP2 falling back. I don't know if it's damage or penalties. Teddy just trying to recover here a little bit. Looks like he lost some ground there. Merchant's now gotten back up past Cardini to close out the first lap. Opens a wide gap. Is now Daniel Costa really looking to move on the outside. Oh my goodness, little bit of contact there. Cardini's off the track, goes wide. Costa gets around. Certainly gonna be some words exchanged. Seemed bump and nudging here as Jeff H. now found his way back into P2. Got a lot of ground to catch up on Sir. Got hit with the auto wet tires. Oh my God. Yeah, that's the worst. As we've now got a pit stop here, R1 Samurai down into pit lane. Not sure if this is a tire stop, somebody gambled on tires, or some damage from a lap 1 incident. I'm trying to keep an eye out here. We got a pretty close fight there. Nope, not really. That was Moza. Seems to have had an off. Pacheco and Fitzy, or yeah, oh, we got a little bit going on here. Cam Bam falling off from the as second place merchant now. Barreling down towards turn 7. Commanding lead already, 1.3 seconds over Daniel Costa, one of our strongest drivers on the field, but Costa was an average of 0.3 of a second faster in the practice session. So, currently as they run, second place Merchant leads the field. Daniel Costa, second place. Third place goes to the Cardini. Fourth place in, your fourth place in GT or LMDH is Pacheco, who's pit, and Cam Bam is, oh my, all the LMDH guys have pit. I'm wondering if there was a tire mistake there. Somebody opted for wets or hards and needed the alternative. As we've had somebody leave the session on a retirement. Not sure who that was. I understand the stream is dying on Twitch. I encourage folks to go check out YouTube. I think it's pretty smooth over on YouTube, I hope. If it's not, I apologize. I don't know what's going on. It seems to be a Twitch error as we try to find Teddy and Serratus here. Tight battle going on here. Serratus with a little bit of an off. Coming out of 8. Going to open the gap up for Teddy to get a little bit of breathing room. And I think everybody is kind of filtered out just a bit due to the unexpected pit stops. There will be quite a lot of tire wear this evening and fuel consumption as they have both been accelerated 2 times. And we're going to see a lot of weather come through, I believe. Currently, the track's a little damp, heavy clouds, cooler track temp, and it's a bit windy. And we are expecting as the sun sets, the clouds will roll further in, and we do expect some rain overnight here at Daytona. As Daniel Costa's now chewed his gap behind second place Merchant down 0.4. He's just over a second away from P1. Second place Merchant going to have quite a fight on his hand when Costa catches up. The rest of the field trailing behind a little bit. Back over towards Teddy. Tight on the inside of 5. Fast into the kink. Lap traffic coming through. Very generous on the lift there. More so than I likely would have been in a battle. We've got more traffic coming through. Teddy not being so kind. The Serratus looks to probably try to make a move here on the straightaway or on the approach to the Le Mans chicane. Can he get him in the draft? Down on the inside of the 43 Porsche goes the number 17 machine of Serratus, and he looks to have him door to door, drag racing down the back straight. He's going to have the inside line going into the chicane, not bailing out of it. Teddy's going to have to yield the position, and that is P3 in class for the GT3s. Beautiful pass on Serratus' part. Good hard racing going into the chicane. Didn't give Teddy much of take the unideal line. As now Teddy falls back to 4th in class. We jump, let's see, to Fitzy and Pacheco. These will be your closest drives at the moment, I believe. Papa Bless about 5.5 seconds off of Trango. Costa with massive damage has cut his lead, or his gap gains back immensely. He was down to about a second, and he's now in pit lane, which is terrible luck for Daniel Costa. Looks to have had a mistake. while chasing down second place Merchant. Merchant's going to have a chance to breathe here for a little bit as Cardini is his closest opponent, 22 seconds behind. Pit strategy is going to be key here tonight, guys. Merchant is at 95.9 liters, and he is, obviously these are hybrids, so state of charge will fluctuate and vary, but that won't be displayed to me. I'm sorry, 69.6 liters. As he comes around the bends here, and it looks like that's really the tightest fight we've got at the moment. Everything sort of fizzled down. Momentarily anyways, so while it's kind of quiet, I would like to thank all the folks that are sponsoring ARL. We'll start with, of course, Specialty Operations and Products. That's Dan Shea's company. Actually, they've got a car on the field. Why don't we take a look at that car, shall we? Specialty Operations and Products. We thank them for all they do for ARL and helping keep great drivers and great sim racers out on the track. Also like to thank VPG Racing Wheels. They have provided very generous discount codes for our champions of the IMSA and Formula USA championships, so we really appreciate everything they do, everything they bring to the table for us. It's a great incentive for drivers to try to perform at their best. Beyond bragging rights, it's always nice to have an opportunity to work towards a proper reward. So thank you, VPG Racing Wheels. Would also like to thank Security Solutions. Sean Stewart works for them. They've generously offered to help us out, and we're very grateful for that. Also, as always, love to thank the guys up at ARL for all the events they put on, all the hard work they put into this league and everything they do, all the planning and the events and the hosting and the server changes. Really does operate like a well-oiled machine. We appreciate everything they do. Let's Papa Bless. Get passed by Anthony Pacheco here. And last but not least, we'd like to thank SimGrid. SimGrid provides us such a great place to post all of our championships, all of our special events, registrations, points, standings, race schedules, you name it, it's there. We love them for it. They do a lot, and we really appreciate them for it. So thank you to all of those guys. And tonight's sponsor, but not really a sponsor, is Zaxby's, because I felt like absolute dog shit. And finally decided I need to eat something, so I went out, got some Zaxby's, ate, and then came down to watch a fantastic 2.5-hour Daytona endurance race. Thank you, Zaxby's, for getting me back out onto the field. Fried chicken for the win, indeed. Lemon pepper fried chicken, to be exact. It's fantastic. As now we, sir, about 3-4 seconds off of Jeff H. Sean Stewart / Dan Shea, depending on who's in the car at the moment, is about a second off of Groove Armada, looking to reclaim some ground. As now Serratus dives into pit. No, that's Groove Armada going into pit. That is going to give Sean Stewart the provisional lead over those two, but I believe that might have been a tire call. Sean in the car. Sean's currently your driver in the car. Not sure if those guys went in for tires or fuel. Seems early for a stop. And second place Merchant now crosses the line, commanding the field in the LMDH car here. Pace is falling off a little bit. Could very well be some fuel saving going on. Trying to stretch the stint as long as you can. Groove looked to have some damage. He did look to have a little bit of damage. I'm wondering if there was contact between Groove and Teddy based off the fact that Groove is just now leaving pit box. I'd imagine there was some damage there. Ted looked like he was still on wets. Wish this was information that was visible to the broadcaster, but I digress. We wish Groove the best on getting back out on track and putting some points down. It's a long race, plenty of time to recover, plenty of time to get back some lost ground. So now Serratus just a second behind DG here. Now, DG made a mistake earlier going into turn 3. Or 4, I apologize. The turn 4 exit, he managed to lose traction on the back wheels, gave Serratus the opportunity to get by, not hoping to make the same mistake. Really wants to keep everything planted together as he's going to start coming up on Groove Armada, who looks to be still running slow with some damage as the gap behind now opens up to about a second and a half. Daniel Costa looking to close the gap down on Cam Bam here. Still has a ways to go, but not giving up just yet. We serve 4 seconds off still. Jeff H. Papa Bless kind of following the leader there on Trangese. Everything's kind of filtered out for the moment. But pit cycles, pit windows, your race leaders, your folks that haven't gotten into any sort of real incident have not come in for any sort of scheduled stop. So we're going to wait to see what happens when second place Merchant makes the pit. The undercut will likely not be the desired strategy here. Cold tires are a struggle on the exit of pit lane here, and specifically the section following pit lane. Very tough to get around this track on cold tires, especially with the track temp being low, weather being inclement potentially. Really have to be careful and watch the tires on your pit exit. So you want to probably, actually that would make the overcut less ideal. I apologize. The undercut, because you'll have the tire advantage over your opponent. So yes, the undercut is what you should be doing. Sorry. Again, headache, brain fog. It's been a long day. Haven't felt great. Just getting back into the saddle of everything and running the pit strategies through my head. As you can tell, I've done 0 practice on this track, and I know nothing about the pit cycles. So now we've got some lap traffic in the mix. The Serratus has fallen back to about 2 seconds now, a little less. Daniel Costa, still a ways to go to get past Cam Bam here, who's working his way through the GT3 field. He's got clean air up in front of him. Second place Merchant at 37.9 liters of fuel. He will need to pit at some point. Not sure if it's going to be tires or fuel first. But currently, brilliant lead over the field. Now, Cardini is not probably going to be able to gain a position on the pit cycle unless he's just saving buckets of fuel. And he looks to be much worse on fuel, just sitting at 19.5 liters. I believe he's planning on a short first stint. Short first stint to get in and change tires. Jeff H will be expecting him in pit lane in the next 2 laps or so for fuel, probably also getting some tires. As now Jay Fitzy cycling through some of the GT3 traffic here. Not sure why these two are showing up inverted of each other. Currently the closest battle on field really seems to be Serratus and DG. Let's take an onboard lap with your P4 driver, Serratus, here in the C8 Corvette. He's a new guy here for ARL. I think his first race was with us at Road America last week in the Indies. Seems to have some pretty decent pace here in this GT3. Not too terribly far off of rest of the class, putting him P4 just outside of podium contention, and if he can take DG here, that would put him on the podium. Up through turn 8 and on to the oval. Little bit of a slide coming out of the complex there. Nothing he can't manage. Gap now 4 seconds to DG. Well, a little bit of a fright there from the passing LMDHs, as that looks to be Daniel Costa trying to work his way through the GT3 traffic. And Pacheco now down through the inside. Serratus diving into the slipstream of the hybrid. Really knows how to look for it here. Is Jeff H now in pit lane, and We Sir in pit lane. This will be a fight for position as we watch the blend out on the track. These guys are both, they're on a lengthy pit stop here. Not sure why they're not moving. Hopefully they get going shortly. We Sir down and away. Jeff H down and away. Let's watch the blend off of pit lane here. I understand that Jeff H is currently behind We Sir, but these guys are going to be fighting it out, trying to regain the track position. As We Sir wins the race off pit lane. But can he hold up a defense against Jeff H on cold tires? Both drivers on cold tires here. This will be a dicey fight out of the box as We Sir now rushing to get out and ahead, puts himself right behind Teddy, gets pushed a little bit wide by the GT3s, who are currently not battling for position, but he is trapped behind the GT3s as Jeff H makes a move on the outside, door to door, coming through the kink. Jeff H is going to hold his ground, a little bit of a touch there. Hit pretty square on the bodies of the cars, nothing crazy as Jeff H manages to get around, and there's a collision. They've both gone off the track, Jeff H and We Sir. We Sir looks to have had the gap closed down on him by Teddy. I'm not sure if that was a mistake on Teddy's part or We Sir. That would have to be a replay moment, but We Sir came out of that better off than Jeff H. Jeff H also went a little wide, pushing hard through turn 8 on the cold tires. Just lost the bite and went around. As now We Sir leads Jeff H. This is wrong. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Jeff H. Jeff H. God. You guys. I'm bad. I'm bad at this. Jeff H. leads the LMP2s. I'll get there eventually. I'm slow. Second place Merchant, though, he's not slow. He's got a minute 21 over second place on the field now. That being said, I do believe I just saw the pit box, and it has. Cardini has made his pit stop. Pacheco will be approaching his pit stop here shortly. Jeff H looking to recover some lost ground. Seems Teddy did not make any pit stops, so no damage seemed to be taken on the number 43 machine of Ted Piper. Just a lot of track time and probably some a little bit of frustration there, but plenty of time to make a recovery as we are just below 2 hours and 5 minutes, 2 hours and 4 minutes remaining in this event. I apologize. Oh, and we've got it off. Who was that in the wall? It was an LMP2. Was it We Sir? Where's We Sir? I think that was We Sir. I'm not positive, but it might have been We Sir. I think it was. Lost 13 seconds to Jeff H in that exchange. That is going to hurt. Very unfortunate turn of events. But as I just said regarding Teddy, plenty of time to make a recovery. So we're going to start watching second place Merchant here. He will be looking to make a pit stop, as will Anthony Pacheco. Now, Cardini, not in that kind of window, as he has a real unsafe rejoin, and there's a collision there from Sean Stewart. Not what the guys in the 13 soap machine wanted to see happen here. As Cardini has retired from the event, and Anthony Pacheco now comes in for his pit stop. Second place Merchant now in hit for his pit stop, just behind Pacheco. So what does that tell us? That tells us that, well, second place Merchant's running about a second or a lap to the good of everybody in class. As the rain starts to fall here at Daytona International Speedway, and it is not starting slow, folks. That looks like sheets of rain falling on the racetrack. As drivers like Jay Fitzy now going to get caught, hung out to dry on the slick tires. Going to need to look at pitting soon, as Trango coming into pit box now for likely fuel and wets. Hate to see that for the number 13 machine. Really, we're just playing a recovery game, as now everybody files into pit box for wet tires as the rain is coming down heavy here at Daytona. Who is going to benefit the most from this? As we look at second place Merchant, did he have the foresight to run wet tire compound, or is he going to get hosed on this pit cycle and have to come back in? Folks, those look like slick tires to me. And based off the way the car is handling, I think they are slick tires. This is not the outcome Merchant wanted to see. This is going to give the LMDH class a huge chance to bounce back and potentially take track position. Second place Merchant has to just struggle through this first lap on the tires. I believe those look like softs. I don't see any sort of tread on them. I think those are softs. I could be wrong. Because now Jay Fitzy has a bit of an off through the Le Mans chicane. What a slide, but good recovery. Not going to lose too much ground. Serratus really struggling, holding off Ted Piper here. Teddy going to get around the inside of Serratus and take P4 back from the Corvette machine. And he goes off through the grass. I think that is an improper tire compound, as R1 Samurai has now also retired from the event. He's going to struggle to get this machine back going the right way. But he does get it righted, as that goes Daniel Costa zipping by. Seems to be firmly planted on the ground here. And folks, Merchant I must have called it wrong. I think Merchant has wet tires on. Definitely going to help him, as Jay Fitzy now in for his wet tires. And Pacheco now into pit box again. I fear it looks like he got the hose on the pit strategy. We'll see when he comes to a stop what compound he was running. They were mediums. They were not wets. Those were mediums. What an unfortunate shakedown for Pacheco, as now Merchant safe and clear on his tire compound selection. Jeff H. currently leading your your LMP2s by about a minute and 15 seconds, a minute and 20 seconds. Sir, struggling after having to try to recover from an incident right here, as it looks like somebody else is in the corner there. That would be Serratus in the Corvette. Really just struggling to keep her pointed the right way. I imagine this is a improper tire compound selection. He's just going to try to limp it back to pit lane, stay out of everybody's way, and put some tires on. Head up, man. Long race ahead of you. Anything can happen. People can make strategy calls that are incorrect on a dime, as now Jay Fitzy trying to recover some ground. Really not a whole lot of tight battles going on for position at the moment. Technically, this is for position, these two, but not in class. Jeff H. just trying to drive a clean race through the Le Mans chicane. And second place Merchant commanding the field. We're going to ride on board with your Season 2 LMDH IMSA champion for a lap. In the number 19 BMW Hybrid. Beautiful metallic blue paint job this week and this season. As he was a champion, he was one of the lucky drivers to get a complimentary Trengies Designs livery. Getting himself past, looks to be Pacheco there on track. Look at the wash coming off the cars in front. Visibility is very slim right now. Trying to get past the lap traffic, just has to be patient. Fortunately for him, he is 2 minutes to the good of anybody on the field and 2 minutes to the good of class second. Coming around the bend to close out his lap. The rainfall really coming down here. A little bit of a wiggle and goes wide into turn one. Good recovery. And let's see. We got Serratus in pit likely for repairs and hopefully the right tire compound. I imagine that was what led to a lot of the issue there. As somebody is retired to pit box, was that? We, sir? It was. We, sir, has retired to pit box. Devastating to see that, man. He's a strong driver. Especially right there on that previous pit sequence before the rain started. That looked like it was going to be a very good fight off pit lane. And it was actually a very good fight off pit lane. Just with a slight mistake, that pretty much gives Jeff H. the default win in the LMP2 category. So congrats to Jeff H. We're keeping it put together. Now he's just trying to race to keep her on the ground as we now dip just below 2 hours remaining in the event. The attrition rate is high tonight. As we look back to Daniel Costa, currently about 11 seconds off of P3 in class. We're going to watch for that gap to close a little bit. As he works to make a recovery drive. Papa Bless now in pit lane. For those of you just joining us, welcome to the ARL Summer Party. This is the 2.5 hour of Daytona. Full day-night cycle, full real-time weather. The race has kind of simmered down. We've had a few retirements as we start to approach the evening hours of the race. The rain has come in force. As the downpour sets in, the track is soaked. These guys are making the best of it as they can. Your current race leader with commanding authority is second place Merchant, with a 2.5 second gap over the, or 2.5 minute gap, I apologize, over the rest of the field, followed by Jay Fitzy in second place here, rocking the 63 Lamborghini. Has made some great strategy calls to put him up past the rest of the field. Cam Bam trails back behind in third, about 16 seconds off, and Daniel Costa just makes the move on Cam Bam, who's made a mistake, putting Daniel Costa now in P3 in the LMDH. As Cam Bam has a mistake coming out of 5, Costa capitalized in the Cadillac to get himself past. Now Costa P3, Cam Bam P4, and Anthony Pacheco P5 in the 963 Porsche. First outing for him, previewing the car for Season 3 IMSA. Leading and winning the LMP2 category will be Jeff H. in the number 8 Tower Motorsports Oreca 07. The rest of our LMP2s have retired for the evening, which is a shame to see. Such a great competitive class, a lot of fun. But Jeff H. will win the class by default. We jump back to the GT3s. We've got Trengies leading in commanding fashion. Really just out driving, keeping it put together. A few laps back, we've got Ted is Graphic and Sean Stewart just a few seconds behind. This is a team drive. Sean Stewart and Dan Shea both behind the wheel of this number 13 soap machine this evening, trading off and driving multiple stints. Last I'd heard, Sean was behind the wheel, and he is working to try to gain some time on Teddy. DG8 is currently rounding out 4th place, and Groove Armada 5th. 6th place goes to Papa Bless, and 7th goes to Serratus in your GT3s. We're going to jump back up to the Sean Stewart and Ted is Graphic battle. So you're right on board with the season owner, or the Championship Series Racing League owner. Sorry, I'll get the word out of there eventually. Coming through the Le Mans chicane. Definitely seems to be working on chewing up Teddy's gap here a little bit. Is the gap now down to about 9/10 of a second, 8/10 of a second. Not letting that Porsche out of his sight just yet. The wash off of the car ahead is immense. The bravery on the brakes is what will win these battles, and it looks like Sean was just a bit better on the brakes there than Teddy as he closes the gap down a little bit. Coming through 2 and 3. Looking for a wide entry into 4. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. Nifty. Now Teddy opening the gap, going into 7. Teddy gets a little bit of a wiggle. That's going to cost him some time. Is Sean now just working on keeping everything put together? Keep it smooth, keep it tidy. A little bit of a slide coming out of 8 and into the banking of the oval as he works to try to set up a move on Ted Piper in the number 43. Ted, defending GT3 champion from Season 2 IMSA. Sean normally runs in the LMDH, but for the special one-off event, he opted to run the 992 in the GT3 category. Really good entry into the Le Mans chicane. Tidy exit, really closing the gap on Ted here. This is going to be a fight. Unfortunately, folks, we don't have to take our eyes off of it immediately. Not anything super tight going on in the rest of the field. We're going to watch this gap between Daniel Costa and Cam Bam here. That's the closest fight we've got for position in the field. Sean late on the brakes and just a little late, goes wide on the entry to 1. That's going to open the door for Teddy to make some ground back through the complex for 2 and 3, and looks for a wide entry into 4. Now, what's going to unfold on pit strategy and fuel? These guys are square up, street fight. These guys are about exactly the same on fuel. So it is going to come down to driver ability to get by on track. And I'm going to tell you, some of the stretches of the track are hard to pass on. But guys, you guys seeing what I'm seeing? That's a lot less rain than we saw just a moment ago. So we now come out of 8 and onto the banking for the oval. Daniel Costa still maintaining about a 2-second lead over Cam Bam. He will be looking to pass Jeff H here shortly. That likely will not be a fight put up. Jeff H not fighting for, he's fighting for overall position, but Costa is going to be the faster car there just to keep his car in one piece. Jeff H will likely let him on by, and Daniel Costa will then be pushing for Jay Fitzy in P2. The gap between Teddy and Sean now opened up immensely. That last lap, turn 1 incident, going wide on the brake zone really caused some pain for the number 13 machine as he races to recover. And the track starts to dry up. Groove Armada looking to have a good recovery drive here. Been caught up in a couple unfortunate incidents that really were not his fault, as Serratis has now left the session and retired. That is one more car in the field out. So we're now down to 12 on the grid. 1 minute, 46 seconds remain in this 2.5-hour endurance special. This Groove just trying to keep it together. DG seems to be trailing behind a little. Groove has a wide entry into 1. DG trailing behind. A little bit tighter on the entry to 1. As he pushes down into 4. Gap between Sean and Ted now opened up to about 4 seconds. Daniel Costa not able to catch up to Jeff H very easily, which is quite the surprise here. Track now drying up. You'll be starting to look for drivers to make pit stops in the next few laps. As the track dries, the dry line will surface and drivers will want to get off of the wet tire, as it still seems we've got some rain in the vicinity. So we now ride on board with your race leader overall and in class, Mr. Second Place Merchant in the number 19 BMW. He's coming up on Groove Armada. Get around lap traffic here. The car ahead of him, Anthony Pacheco. Now we're going to start to get into a strategy debate. Are any drivers going to gamble on the next stop going to a race soft slick tire compound? Or are they going to opt to stay on wet tires? As the track gets driven, as the track starts to dry, the wet tire will become more of a hindrance than a help. I'm sorry, that's Cam Bam, I believe, up ahead of Second Place Merchant. Daniel Costa now starting to find some time on Jeff H, just a little bit. Down to about a second. On quite a recovery drive from an early race incident. Did not catch it on the broadcast, but cost him a lot of time in pit lane for repairs. He seemed to keep everything pretty tidy and smooth since, which is good. Ready to pounce and capitalize in any sort of mistake that second place Merchant makes. Merchant, though, has a 2.5 second gap, almost 3, to Daniel Costa. As long as he doesn't have any massive mistakes, he should have plenty of time to recover from any small mishaps. Sean Stewart now working on closing the gap back down to Teddy just a little bit. Ted's starting to catch up to lap traffic of DG8 in the BMW. And Trango, who is also stuck behind lap traffic, a lap ahead of Teddy. So while Teddy may be second and Trango may be first, there is a lap between them on the timing stand. Daniel Costa seems to have lost a little bit of ground on Jeff H here. Not really great for him. Papa Bless working to recover, possibly from a recent pit stop. Seems to have a lot of fuel on board compared to everybody else. Groove Armada. And Sean seems to have fallen back another couple seconds to Teddy. This fight has, for the moment, fizzled out, but I imagine it will resurface here as pit strategies start to cycle through. Sean will need to likely come in the exact same lap that Teddy will, unless one decides to overcut or undercut the other. Again, as we talked before, the undercut, probably the ideal strategy here at this track. Very hard to get tires up to temp, so if you can get out of the pit box, have a nice clean track ahead of you, and put down a decent outlap, by the time your opponent pits behind you, you will have the tire advantage. Tires will be warm, tires will be grippy and sticky. You'll be able to get around, hopefully with ease, as Papa Bless has a little bit of a wiggle coming through two, bumps the wall, seems to keep it pointed the right way. In the number 83 Iron Dames machine, those Lambos, man, they are a challenge to drive. They are fast and they are pointed, but they are very on edge. Massive props to Papa Bless for keeping it put together this evening. A little bit of a slide coming out of 7. The track still a little damp. Tiny bit of rainfall here, not anything crazy. The storm has certainly let up a bit. Jeff H. opened a massive gap over Daniel Costa. Daniel Costa seems to be struggling now a little bit, keeping this car planted. Might be getting held up by some lap traffic here. And second place Merchant doing exactly what he needs to do, keeping the car pointed the right way. That is all. You show up, get in the car, and go straight down the track. That's all you got to do. He's keeping it together. Slow on pace. He's down 7 seconds from his best, but this may be a fuel save stint, guys. He might be trying to just make that tank last as long as he can, outlive the storm, so that he doesn't have to pit twice, once for tires and then once for fuel and tires. He's hoping to capitalize on one stop with the rain hopefully ending shortly. We don't really know because I don't have a radar. But he makes a great entry into turn 1. Through the 2 and 3 complex is Papa Bless. Now going to kind of interrupt him a little bit here as he goes on driver's left of Papa Bless down into 4. A little bit of a slide. Not looking like it wants to go exactly where he wants to point it. So he goes around Teddy going through to the kink. and into turn 7. This guy's on rails tonight, folks. It's going to be a show watching him in Season 2 IMSA, or Season 3 IMSA, I apologize. Speaking of IMSA, why don't we go over some details of Season 3 IMSA while we are here, while it's a little slow between pit cycles, as Jeff H. will be the first person to come in for pits. He is retired. He has retired the car. That is Jeff H. out of contention. I don't know if that was a... I am not racing anybody, so I am retiring, or he had an incident. We now are down to 1:37, but while we've got a moment, there's a bit of a lull in the race. We're going to take a look at some details for the Season 3 IMSA race calendar, and hope to entice a few of you to join us. So, Season 3 IMSA does start this week. It will start on Tuesday at our normal time, 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern Time. 9 p.m. Eastern Time will be when practice starts. We start at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. It'll be the GP course, and we will be live at Catalunya on July 29th for round 1. Round 2 takes us to the Nürburgring GP circuit on August 12th. Round 2 brings us to Hockenheim on August 26th. Round 4 brings us to Spielberg on September 9th. Round 5, Imola, September 23rd. Round 6, Silverstone on October 7th. Round 8, Monza, October 21st. Round 9, Cascais on November 4th. And round 9, I think I said round 9 before. It was round 8, Cascais. And round 9 will be our season closer at Spa in Belgium on November 18th. That will be the closer for Season 3 of IMSA. Still time to register for the league and the races if you're not already. Please go check us out on SimGrid, America's Racing League. You can find all of our events across all our different platforms, PC, console, AMS2, Assetto Corsa, Le Mans Ultimate. Got a lot of stuff out there right now and some more stuff in the works. We've also got the Indy Series, which will be returning not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday at Virginia International Raceway for our 10th round in the Formula USA Championship for 2026. The 2026 calendar will be a little bit of a experiment sort of deal. We're not really pushing to do the same thing next year. We're going to truncate it a little bit. We're going to bring the race distance back just a hair, just about another 15 or 20 minutes off of the race time that we've got now, and we're going to shorten the seasons a little bit. So be looking for details on that in the next month or two, as that season's parading right along. Round 10, like I said, Virginia International Raceway. That will be round 10 of 16. After that, we are back on the ovals for Fontana Auto Club Raceway. That should be a good one. Really looking forward to it. It's Daniel Costa, now our third-place driver, both in class and overall. 2 minutes and 55 seconds off of your race leader, though. Really needs a miracle here. Second-place Merchant will be looking to pit shortly, as will Daniel Costa. Number 13 machine of Sean Stewart. Also likely to be looking at a pit stop here in the next 2 or 3 laps. So will this fella right here, Ted Piper, in the 43 machine. Season 2 champion of GT3s. Ted has mentioned that he's not had a lot of practice on this track. He's been out of town the days leading up to this event. Hasn't had a lot of time to put down any practice laps, but doesn't seem to be stopping him from maintaining a comfortable second place. About 5 seconds to the good of Sean Stewart in the number 13 Soap machine. And if he makes the right strategy call, could really benefit him here. is Sean Stewart. Makes the call to come into pit lane. That is the first call for pit lane in the GT3s on this stint. Now, what kind of tire compound does he run with? We don't know, but we're going to watch Ted Piper now because he has to make this lap a massive lap. Has to be hard push, and he's already not doing so hot. A little bit of a wiggle there going into 4, down into the flat section here through the kink. Has to make this in lap fast. And that's if he pits this lap. He may not. He may opt to hold out just a little longer. But he's currently hung out to dry right now as Sean Stewart should be down and released any second now. Your race leader in class, Trangies Designs. Ted Piper now out of the sports car section. Seems like that might have had a bit of a mistake. As he starts to run lower on fuel. Sean Stewart now making his way to pit exit. Looks to have had some repairs done to that number 13 soap machine, trying to get the tires up to temp. There might have been a driver switch on board of that car as well. No driver swap. All right, so we've got the mistake. Merchant has gone wide and spun. This is big, folks. Merchant starting to struggle on the tires. I think the track is drying up just a touch. Tires are struggling. They're getting hot. Daniel Costa claims his lap back from second place Merchant now. As he starts to push, has a lot of ground to gain. That mistake cost Merchant almost 15 seconds. As we start to watch Merchant, oh, these were cold tires. He's just come out of pit box, I think. As Ted Piper now in the pits. This is the blend we're watching. Sean Stewart. I'm sorry, not Sean. This is Dan Shea. Sean is now in the chat, hanging out with us. This needs to be a massive in or out lap. It's Teddy still up. The blend is going to be these two. I think Teddy's going to maintain the position. I'm not sure what happened here with Dan Shea on the out lap as he comes through the Le Mans chicane. Ted should be moving any second. He is. The overcut helped Ted here. Still has a moment. Sean not out of contention yet, but has a lot of ground to gain. Now, as I pointed out, Teddy may have the track position right now, but the number 13 car has the tire advantage. Tires are up to temp. Fuel is up. The other question we're going to start to be evaluating is who picked what tires. As Dan Shea goes a little deep on the brakes in turn 1 outside the track limits. But Teddy with a very commanding 30-second or so lead over Sean. Or Dan, Sean, Shea, Stewart, the number 13. Oh, and we've got it off Papa Bless up into the wall. Looked to be a pretty square hit. Doesn't seem to have much damage on board the number 83 machine there. I think he managed to keep it off the wall. It doesn't seem like he's driving very rough, so all of your LMDH have come to pit box except your race leader. He overcut the rest of the field, had a bit of a slip up on cold tires. Now, that slip up cost him a lot of time, but he still seems to be on wet tires as he goes wide into turn 1. Way wide into turn 1, struggling to keep it between the lines right now. Rain still seems to be falling, so the wet tire compound definitely what we want to be watching for, but Daniel Costa now out and flying because he's seen the humanity. He's seen the attainable goal. Second place Merchant made the mistake. And he's hoping that if he can make one, he'll make multiples. As he comes out of the exit of 8 and onto the back straight, running in third place. Jay Fitzy has reclaimed second place in the number 63 Lambo as the fight rages on up ahead of him in the GT3 category. Dan Shea really trying to get some spots back over DG8 in the BMW. They're going to race it pretty hard going through the complex of 2 and 3 here. Trango just kind of watching from the back. So you're right on board now with Dan Shea. Whoa, almost had contact there. But he's going to push it to the outside, make a peak, not going to get it here. Drops back to reset a little bit. We've had another retirement. It was a GT3 car. Papa Bless in the number 83 has retired. Is now Sean Stewart going wide on the outside, really trying to make something happen. DG8 will be looking to pit any moment here as he gives Sean the open window and lets him by. We expect to see DG in this lap or the next for his fuel and tires. Teddy now comfortably ahead of Sean, 22 seconds after that pit cycle. DG not giving up the fight just yet as he starts to kind of peak on the outside and then focuses back in for the Le Mans chicane. In the number 7 BMW. Great drive from DG. Hopefully we see him back in the seat for our IMSA Championship. Seems to have a great bit of racecraft here and knows the line, knows the car, and we always need some more drivers out there on the field. As he makes the dive into pit lane, as does Trango. Trangi's Designs now in pit lane in the number 44 McLaren. Still see some wet track conditions. So we have to speculate as to what drivers are considering in strategy call here. A little bit of a lockup there on Jay Fitzy's part. Coming into turn 4, or 5, I apologize. So now down on the straight to the kink in the number 63 Lamborghini. Great looking car. Love to see things shaken up a little bit. Another lockup going into 7. As he gets around Dan Shea on the approach to turn 8 and into the oval. Daniel Costa. Oh, and he's gone wide and slid into the tire wall. Gonna cost valuable time. Likely a bit of suspension and aero damage there. We'll see if he tries to ride it out or if he has to pit, giving Costa the position back. Costa really just trying to keep things smooth and capitalize on any potential mistakes that Merchant makes. Now, what we're watching for now is tires. The track seems to be drying up a little bit. We're starting to see less rain on the cars. As a matter of fact, if we ride on board with Mr. Costa, there's no raindrops here at all. In the oval section, second place Merchant, trailing behind Daniel Costa. But this will be an interesting transition point. Who decides to stretch the wet tire compound as long as they can go? Merchant has a bit of an advantage here. He can make several different strategy calls here and likely be okay. He's got quite a delta over the rest of the field and the rest of his class. People that really need to be careful about strategy calls right now are Jay Fitzy and Daniel Costa. And Jay Fitzy has opted to stay out after the collision with the tire barrier. Pacheco just racing along, trying to get a feel for this Porsche 963. Seems to be doing a pretty good job in finding the balance. Cam Bam leading Anthony Pacheco by about 17 or 21 seconds or so, 22 seconds. Both of these guys coming up from LMP2 and into the LMDH class, so doing what they can to keep everything sorted out and learn the balance of these cars. There's a great opportunity. No points really on the line. A really good chance to learn race conditions in the wet and the dry. As we're now well into the evening hours of this showdown here at the 2.5-hour Daytona endurance race. Had a bit of attrition, started with 17, we're down to 10. That's not stopping some of our drivers from really doing everything they can. So we jump back ahead to second place Merchant, who's continuing to stay out. Interesting call. May know something we don't, as the windshield wipers have stopped. The track seems to start to have a dry line. As you see, the guys are able to push pretty hard without much of a kick out. Groove Armada going low to let the prototype hybrid by. And Jay Fitzy will be the first one to make the call right as the rain starts to pick back up. This is a gamble as he goes from the wet compound. And I imagine we'll see mediums go on next. Or hards. No. He still seems to be running the wets. I'm looking for this little... Okay. He's still on wet tires. That might have been a damage repair, maybe. Definitely not a scheduled stop. As we've got Sean going wide. Falling back even further. So he goes wide on the tires. Dan Shea struggling to keep the car on the track right now. Grass is real wet. The track is wet. Struggling to find the grip as now Groove Armada is going to try to capitalize on the mistake in the number 17 Corvette. Groove really racing for a comeback here to be right on board with the Season 2 commentator who'll be racing the GT3 class in Season 3. Up on the slipstream of Dan Shea here. Just doing everything he can to capitalize on the mistake. Fighting the dirty air and the rain. It has returned. It is keeping the track damp. As he trims the gap ever so slightly. It's about a second and a half behind. Groove is quick, very fast, very consistent, rock solid driver. Just tends to get roped into incidents that really aren't his fault as he goes wide on the entry of one and switches back deep on the brakes through the chicanes of 2 and 3. Really closing the gap down on the number 13 Porsche of Dan Shea. Goes deep on the entry of 4. Or 5, I apologize. No, that is 4. I've had my turns all fucked up. Regardless, we're watching a very intense fight as Dan Shea goes a little wide and Groove moves to capitalize but doesn't get there, fighting the same kind of grip struggles that Dan Shea's fighting up ahead of him. Just trying to find where he can push the car and where he's going to lose it. And he's going to make the move now on the inside of Dan Shea as we come up into the oval out of turn 7. Not going to get the opportunity. Dan Shea ran wide on the exit of 7 coming into the oval portion. It's going to be an interesting fight down into the Le Mans chicane. Groove Armada really working him over now, trying to find the window to reclaim a position ahead. This would be for 3rd place as he goes deep. Cuts the track. That's not probably gonna fly with the stewards. Yeah, he gives the position back. I don't know if that was a race official call or if that was a sportsmanship call. Knowing Groove, it's very likely to be a sportsmanship call. Really good driver class act misjudged the corner and just went deep onto the chicane. But still up for position as he's hoping to capitalize on another potential mistake. Daniel Costa still rocking up there in second place. Second place Merchant just kind of driving away with the field as both drivers now have gone wide into the entry of 2 down through the 3 and 4 chicane. Or the 2 and 3 chicane, I apologize. Deep on the brakes here in the number 13 Soap Machine, but Groove not giving up the position yet. He is hard on the charge here for third place, I apologize. He's going to make a run down through the kink and try to get him going into the brake zone of turn 6. Welcome to the stream in the YouTube side of things, Sugar Balls. Glad to have you, man. Got a great race on our hands here in the GT3 category right now. These two duking it out. Dan Shea's getting his turn in the driver's seat of the number 13 Soap Machine. Groove really trying to make the move happen. He's closed the gap once, and he's going to try to do it again, going into the Le Mans chicane, hoping for a better result this time. Had to yield the position in the last one, made the pass out of track limits. But Groove's a strong contender in the GT3s, very fast in that Corvette. Through the Le Mans chicane, very clean and tidy. Cutting the gap down to about 1.2, 1.3 seconds, so it's trimmed back a little bit from where it was just a lap ago. As we now switch trackside to, says Sean Stewart, but this Dan Shea in the seat. Sean and Dan are actually doing a 2-driver system here. Sean's stint was the previous stint. Dan's now getting his time behind the wheel as he goes wide on the entry again into turn 1. Groove going to look to capitalize. No, makes the same mistake. These guys are putting it all on the table right now. Groove just trying to keep his head down, stay calm, stay collected, as he makes it look on the inside of 4. Not going to happen. Through the turn 5 kink and down into the hairpin of 6. Dan Shea goes wide and into the grass. It's going to cost him some time. But his re-entry checked up Groove. Groove doesn't have anywhere to go. Got held up, locked up a little bit. As he makes a move now, not going to happen. Coming out of 7 and onto the oval. These guys are pushing with everything they've got behind the wheel of these GT3 machines. What a drive, what a fight we've got on our hands right now. As Dan Shea trying to make the Porsche stretch its legs a little bit and open the gap over Groove. Groove not letting up. You can just count on him making sure that Dan knows he's there. There's a little bit of a low call there. Not sure what happened. Groove got by. I'm not sure. I don't know what just occurred there. I didn't even see Groove get by. Very strange, but that fight has all but simmered down for now. Is now second place Merchant in the pit box for tires, I presume. But those look like wets to me, so I don't know if the wets just fell off real fast. So now Groove Armada will be charging to Ted Is Graphic to try to regain that position. But number 13 machine, oh, and he goes off the track and into the tire walls. That's going to cost valuable time to the 2-driver team in the Porsche. Very unfortunate outcome there. Seemed to not be a super hard hit. They might be able to recover from that and at least keep it on the track until the end of this pit stint. They are struggling right now. I think the track's starting to evolve a little bit. Tires are maybe starting to become an issue. groove, keeping everything planted where it needs to be and keeping the gap closed. Teddy just driving a nice solid race here, and Trango, as expected, commanding the GT3 field. Again, this guy won with commanding authority in the Season 1 championship opener at Daytona. Admittedly, he was driving the Audi then, but doing a great job keeping everything put together right now in the McLaren. You jump back up to second place, Merchant. The lap cut to about a minute 45. Daniel Costa will be looking to pit likely before Merchant. As the fights have sort of simmered down for a little bit here. Folks, if you're just joining us, if you're new here, you're not familiar with us, this is America's Racing League. I am Les Paul Obsession. You can call me Les, you can call me Paul, you can call me Dumbass, you can call me Idiot. Normally I'm behind the wheel, but suffered a bit of a hand injury a few weeks ago. Took me out of most of my racing for a few weeks. Technically could have driven, but I have just had so much going on preparing for, I've got the Street Rod Nationals in town next weekend, so just been trying to get everything sorted out, situated, and taken care of for that. So I've not had a lot of time to put into practice. I figured it would be easier for me to broadcast tonight. But you were watching our AMS2 summer party. Normally we don't run on Sunday nights. We run Tuesday nights in AMS2, but this is a one-off endurance race featuring a lot of our series regulars. Second place Merchant here, champion of IMSA Season 2 in the LMDH. Daniel Costa, currently running second, was our Season 1 champion in LMDH. Anthony Pacheco was our Season 1 and 2 LMP2 champion. Trengy's Designs was our Season 1 GT3 champion. And Teddy's graphic, Ted Piper, now in pit lane, presumably for tires, was our Season 2 GT3 champion. Lots of familiar faces on the field tonight. Everybody here, great Class Act drivers. Please look us up on SimGrid. We'd love to have you in our Season 3 IMSA Championship. I think there's still plenty of slots available in the LMP2 class. GT3 and LMDH is pretty crowded right now, so second place Merchant now coming back to pit lane. This seems rather early compared to where he was. He was just in pit lane, as now Daniel Costa will... I don't know what is happening here with the splits. I really don't. I think Daniel Costa's got a lap to gain back over Merchant. Yeah, he does. Merchant now back out on the track. It looks to be people filtering in for tires here as the sun starts to crest the horizon here. The night is over. The rain is moving out for now. Drivers are likely trying to start testing the waters on the soft tires, the race slicks. Merchant, a little bit of a wiggle coming out of pit box, but still with a 42-second lead over Daniel Costa, who we expect to see in pit lane for a similar tire change in the next lap or two, but really doing everything he can. I'm sorry, he's got a 54-second lead over Daniel Costa. The timing board was very shaken up. As Teddy, there's something going on here. This doesn't seem right. Maybe it is. Daniel Costa chooses to stay out this lap as well. Does Costa know something we don't? It's right. So did he make a mistake, Sean? Dan stayed out with wets on. Ah, I gotcha. So Dan stays out with wets, putting him 24 seconds to the good over Teddy. Teddy did take fuel on the last stop. Looks to be a pit strat. Dan Shea now currently leads Teddy with about... Oh, I'm sorry, not a 20-second lead. It's about 25 seconds or so. 25 seconds or so. So that'll give him a nice little boost for when he needs to come in. But the stint is going to be increasingly challenging as now Pacheco leaves pit lane, presumably for tire compound change. Daniel Costa likely going to... I expect to see Costa in before long, but man, he may not. He may just brave it on the wets. Second place Merchant, also on wet tires, at least visually. I don't know if that's actually what they're riding on. I imagine that a lot of these stops were for tire compounds, though. Considering the rain has stopped, the track is lighting up, the sun is coming out, and the track is drying. Second place Merchant has lost 3 seconds to Daniel Costa just in the last lap. If Daniel Costa can stretch this stint out and capitalize, really might have an opportunity to pick up some more time over second place Merchant as we start to see the rain trickle back in. The rain really just doesn't want to give up tonight as Costa starts to shoot down through the turn 5 kink. And into turn 6. Little wide on the entry of 6. Oh my God, he's in the tire wall. Daniel Costa, massive off. And into the tire wall. Valuable time gain has just been lost. The gap went from 50 seconds to 59.3 and climbing as he's now got to get away around the lap traffic of the GT3s. And he's now crested a minute on the gap. Very unfortunate to see for Daniel Costa. He was running a real strong race there on the last end of that stint, making a strategy call that seemed to possibly play out as the rain starts to come back in full authority right now. Drivers that just switched to the soft tires might be in the tight spot as we see Trango back on pit lane, and it looked like Dan Shea leaving pit lane. As the rain starts to come down, we're hoping that they just pit for fuel and fresh wets and not slicks. Second place Merchant, I believe, will be coming in pit lane before long as the rain starts to hammer down. It is now a downpour out there on the track. Just when we thought it was drying up, it's back. Daniel Costa might have benefited from this. A little bit of an off there in the previous lap cost him some time, but if he stays out on the wet tire compound or pits behind Merchant, he can maintain this gap and start to chisel it away a little bit every lap. He is going to have to go full quali mode, though, to close down the 1 minute 2 second gap. Trangi's back out on the track from a pit stop. Out of turn 7 and into the oval. Currently comfortably leading the GT3 field. Not really too concerned about his surroundings because there's not much to worry about. Behind him, you've got Groove Armada, worked his way back up to a second place finish, or second place position over Ted Piper in P3. Followed by roughly 50 seconds back, 48 seconds back, you've got Sean Stewart, Dan Shea. I believe Dan Shea's behind the wheel right now. In the number 13, Soap Porsche, and DG8. A couple laps back, but hanging in there. Doing his best to keep her on the track. The rain is starting to come down in buckets. It's Merchant now. Strong on the back straight. Late on the brakes and through the Le Mans chicane. I'm thinking he is on wet tires as he comes through the chicane rapidly. Daniel Costa likely to be pitting any minute now. This lap or the next, I expect to see Daniel Costa in. Cam Bam, within the next 2 or 3 laps, we'll see him dive into pit lane. Jay Fitzy will find his way potentially back up to 3rd place after a bit of an off earlier. He's doing really good on fuel right now. Likely doing all right on tires, provided he hasn't made an early call to jump to slicks. And Anthony Pacheco rounds out your top 5 and your LMDH class in P5. What may not look like a great result, 5th place. This is great for Pacheco to get some solid race time, multi-condition, multi-class racing under his belt for Season 3, as this will be the car he runs in the Season 3 IMSA Championship. So it's a great chance to, no pressure, learn the car, learn the balance, find out what you need to account for, and all in all, track time in the car you're racing on is a great thing. So be looking for Anthony Pacheco in Season 2. I imagine he will be a force to be reckoned with in the 963. As the rain really coming down in sheets now. 2nd place Merchant. Not seeing much of it, though. I don't know if that's a visual bug for me. Maybe it's fog. I mean, I see a little bit of rain, but I don't see anything on the windshield wipers. Daniel Costa's got his wipers on. I have an idea. Let's go back and then go to monitor view and then go to 2nd place Merchant. And now the fog's out. So we're on board with your race leader right now, with just about an hour left in this endurance fight here at Daytona. The 2nd place Merchant starts to line up a pass on 3rd place. 4th place of Jay Fitzy would put him 2 laps down. Oh, excuse me. The drive rages on between these two. Daniel Costa falling a little further back in the field, down minute 12 to 2nd place Merchant. And we'll be in pit lane this time by, I sure hope. Only just will he make it on fuel, as Daniel Costa on battery down pit lane. You want to talk about a close call? That is about as close as you can cut it. 2nd place Merchant will put Daniel Costa 1 more lap down, as he now chases Cam Bam to secure another lap over. Cam Bam goes really wide in the entry to 1. Manages to keep it put together. A little bit of a wiggle coming back out onto the track, but that was valuable time lost. It's now Sean Stewart and Groove Armada. Only 10 seconds separate these guys. 9 seconds separate these guys. I'm sorry, Dan Shea. Dan Shea behind the wheel of the number 13 machine right now, and he seems to be doing what he can to close the gap down a bit. Groove up just ahead of him. I think the weather is bugged for me because I see wiper blades on. I see wipers going. I don't see raindrops on the screen, and when I'm trackside, I see rain. I'm not sure what to tell you all the weather's doing right now, because I can't tell you. Looks like rain to me. But I've been fooled before. The gap is closing between Groove and Dan Shea. Once again, these guys are going to be duking it out for position. We were just at 9 seconds before I jumped to them, and in the last lap, the gap has closed down to 6 seconds, wide on the entry of 1. I can't tell if that is supposed to be the line of entry or if everybody's taking that wide, because everybody is going way wide in 1. Sean Stewart Dan Shea just 5 seconds now behind Groove Armada. The number 63 machine of Jay Fitzy on the inside getting by. Lapped traffic there. On the run through the turn 5, Kink. Groove feeling a little bit of pressure from the lapped up car of Trango. Trangy's going to get by pretty quickly and easily here. Going into turn 7 and out onto the oval, we now have Groove Armada open the gap just a little bit to about 8 seconds. Or 6 seconds, I apologize. Oh no, I am way wrong. It's closed to 1 second. 1.5 or so. We're going to go back to Dan Shea on board the number 13 Soap Porsche. This onboard camera brought to you by Soap, Specialty Operations and Products this evening. As the raindrops fill the windscreen of this car. About 1.2 seconds behind Groove Armada. Dan Shea jumps into the slipstream. Anything he can grab from the number 5 machine of Cam Bam. Deep brake entry. Both go wide into turn 1. Gonna cost valuable time to this team here. Gets back on the track. Groove Armada are gonna take and appreciate the breathing room that gave him as he goes down into the turn number 4 hairpin through the straight and fires down into turn 5 kink. Doing everything he can just to maintain the distance here. I don't think this is right. The timing sheet is all sorts of messed up, but the fight's close, and that's what matters. As second place Merchant now tries to find his way past the GT3 traffic here. And it's going to check up Groove Armada just a little bit and give an opportunity to Dan Shea on the straightaway. As he slips down to the bottom line of the oval, and there goes Cam Bam in the Porsche, filtering through lap traffic, threading the needle. Late on the brakes here into the Le Mans chicane. Can they get him coming out of the chicane? They're going to be side by side as they go through the final straightaway. This is a drag race going down towards turn 1. These guys pretty equal on pace, but the Porsche's fallen off just a little bit. The raw power of the C8 Corvette going to make him a little bit more of a fight in the straight line, but this is where everybody has been slipping up. Turn 1. Can he make the move in turn 1, deep on the brakes, and get a clean turn 1? There's contact. Groove is around. Dan Shea is around. They have both slipped and spun. Groove managed to right the car. Dan Shea back on track, just behind. Only lost about a second. Probably a little bit of fuming under the helmet, but he's going to get back to going racing here and try to reclaim some position. I don't know if Groove's sandbagging a little bit to account for the mistake there. I think that was Groove just a little bit too late on the brakes. Either way, very, very class act driver as he yields the position. Doesn't put up a fight there, and Dan Shea is now up ahead. putting the number 13 machine back on the podium with 53 minutes left in tonight's endurance event. Ted looking to just bring her home in one piece in second place. As it seems, once again, it's purely speculative here, but it looks like that maybe the track is drying up. But I also see windshield wipers, so it's anybody's guess at this point. I don't think the game knows what the weather's supposed to be doing. Groove Armada has gotten back past Dan Shea and dives into the pit lane. What brings him into pit box? Might be damage. He's got plenty of fuel on board. Don't know if it's damage or tires. As we see the number 17 machine, whoops, that's not what I meant to do, return to pit lane. I'm going to back out of this and go to monitor view again, just see if everything refreshes. Okay, it does. Interesting. Weird, but interesting. Okay. There's your race and class leader. Second place merchant. Leading with a purpose. 2 minutes and 30 seconds to the good. That, folks, for those of you who are not great at quick math, almost 3 laps. As he continues to try to close the gap and make it 3 laps over some of his competition. Groove Armada out of pit box. Full fuel, likely fresh tires. Not sure what brought him in. I don't know if it was tire deg, but the undercut is the preferred strategy. So, if these guys pit, Groove will have the tire advantage. The question is, what brought Groove in? Was it a tire compound? Was he struggling because he was on wet tires and the track was drying up? If these guys are running wet tires, be looking for them to come into pit box within the next lap or 2. Opting to stay out for a lap, I'm going to guess these guys might be on the ideal tire for current track conditions. Don't seem to be falling off too terribly much. Still keeping the car relatively consistent around this place. Groove Armada trying to make a strong time in the event that the car up ahead of him does find their way to pit lane. Second place Merchant will be looking at pitting before too long, and Daniel Costa goes a little wide into turn 1 through the 2 and 3 chicane in the number 95 Cadillac. Beautiful looking car this week. Glad to have Costa back on the field. Glad to have him in a new ride this week as he makes that Cadillac scream through the turn 6 or turn 5 kink down into turn 6. Be looking for Costa on the grid in LMDH for season 3. Will be great to have him back in, and hopefully before too long we'll see him back in the Formula USA series. Give some of our championship leaders a bit of a run for their money, as it seems like we had somebody slip off the track there a little bit. Potentially DG8. Second place Merchant down into pit box. I presume people are starting to change tire compounds now as Dan Shea comes around the final bend. Keeping it high. I presume they're going to stay out again. Folks, I think they're on the right tire right now. Second place Merchant in for fuel and tires, I imagine. Fuel number hasn't changed just yet. There it goes. It's going up. So he will be serviced and shipped out as Daniel Costa now rounds the lap. Gaining his lap back now, guys. The fuel deficit very immense between these two. Costa still has quite a lot of fuel on board. Depending on how this race shakes out and the amount of time, the gap could close pretty significantly. If Merchant makes the wrong moves or too many mistakes, it could cost him handsomely in the race. As Merchant now starts to depart pit lane, you'll see Costa is just now rounding turn 6 and will be hitting the turn 7 apex right about now. Out onto the back straight he goes. Dan Shea keeping it put together. Looking at a third place finish right now with 47 minutes left in this event. He's had a great drive tonight. Gotten into some trouble. Had a few hiccups, mishaps. But all in all, making a great recovery drive. Folks, I think they are on slick tires. That or they are just making these wets work in dry conditions. A little bit deep on the brakes there, but keeps it in between the white lines with a nice and tidy aggressive turn 1, 2, and 3. Firing it down to the straight. Is Jay Fitzy now being serviced in pit lane? Ted Piper coming through the Le Mans chicane. Everybody's starting to fall off their pace just a little bit. I would call that exhaustion, folks. This race is going to take it out of you. You're going to get hot. You're going to get tired. Your arms are going to get sore. It's going to wear you out. These guys not giving up. Keeping everything very clean. Massive props to these guys for sticking it out so long. This is a very, very long race. Very tiring. 2.5 hours. Doesn't seem like a lot, especially when this is a 3-hour or 24-hour event, but man, it's a workout. As now Daniel Costa has cut the gap down to 38 seconds. This is the closest it's been since the beginning of the race, guys. Daniel Costa with plenty of fuel left in the tank right now. If he can continue to make the gap close, we could have a final few-minute shootout on our hands, depending on how the pit cycles play out. He has to be lightning fast on in and out laps, and his pit stops need to be perfect. As he works through the opening turns of his current lap. Merchant's gap continues to fall away, now down to 37 seconds and closing. And Daniel Costa another off going into turn 5. Or I'm sorry, turn 6. Turn 6 has not been kind to Daniel Costa when he is in full push. He loses it in turn 6. Hate to see that for the number 95 Season 1 champion, but it is not slowing him down. He may have lost the time, but he is back to it. Looks that he is going to try to fight through the damage. As he pushes into the Le Mans chicane. Second place Merchant still with a clean, comfortable, tidy lead. The guy's not made very many mistakes this evening. Little bit deep on the turn there, but nothing unmanageable. The field relatively spread out right now. These two right now are going to be the ones to watch. Second place Merchant and the fella on screen right now, Daniel Costa. If Costa can keep the car put together and the pits fall just the right way, we could be looking at a shootout at the end of this race. I expect 1 to 2 more pit stops from most of these drivers in the hybrid class. DG8 rounding out the field in P10. We've had quite a lot of attrition this evening. It's a shame to see, but it's a tough fight out there in this Endurance Championship. Really, really a challenge. As the lap traffic now finds their way around DG8. Ted Piper back in pit lane. This is going to yield the position to Dan Shea, who will be looking to pit within the next few laps. Probably got a few more laps left in him on a tank of fuel, but these guys are driving a very clean race right now, as they will get past Ted Piper on the track as Teddy is in pit box. And he goes around. He's lost the grip and he is spun. Dan Shea with a pretty good save there. Is Ted now out of the pit box? Dan Shea, valuable time lost on the overcut. Down into turn 6, I'm sorry, turn 6. Those two turns look very similar. And out of 7 onto the oval. Wide entry onto the apex. Daniel Costa continues to close the gap down. Has not pit for repairs. Anthony Pacheco now down into pit lane, as he's actually exiting pit lane. And the pits have cycled through here once again. We will see likely, I think Dan Shea's really the only one we're looking to see come in anytime soon, as DG8 comes out of pit lane for their fuel and tire stop. Cam Bam, Fitzy's doing great on fuel. Cam Bam will be looking to pit around the same time as Daniel Costa. Pacheco and Fitzy both plenty fine on fuel, as now the number 13 Soap Porsche comes into pit box. And you'll see Teddy crack into frame in just a moment there as he goes past the pit lane and regains his 3rd place spot. Now he has to keep it tidy and clean, while the 2-driver team can keep everything put together in pit box. So they're still up and on the air jacks. Groove Armada might be looking to make some ground back up here over Sean Stewart and Dan Shea. He will. He's regained the position as there is another driver swap. So Sean Stewart back in the driver's seat of the number 13. Groove a little bit wide and a little bit of a wiggle into turn 1 as he cycles through the 2 and 3 chicane. Lengthy pit stop here for Dan Shea and Sean Stewart as the car is off and away. Groove Armada suddenly back in the fight for 3rd place. likely to hold it, but he is going to have to pit before the Porsche will. These guys are going to leapfrog in pit lane for a little while. Crew chief forgot to remove damage repair. Ah, so you guys had some repairs. I wish that it reflected in the broadcast. As now, they're back out. Full tank of fuel, fresh tires, new driver. And away they go. Firing down into turn 4. Or I'm sorry, through the kink of 5 into turn 6. Daniel Costa closed the gap back down to 37.5 seconds. Costa is putting down quali laps right now, working down the gap over second place Merchant. Again, the way it stands, he will have to pit. But if he can maintain this pace, if he can maintain his consistency and his ability, Merchant will have one more pit stop before the end of this race, without a question. 37 minutes remain, 65 liters left in the tank. Costa can do it on one more stop, I think. Both of these drivers will need one more stop. It is just the when and the where. And Costa is chewing away at the lead now, once again, down to 36.5 seconds. Continues to close it down through turn 4, firing into the 5 kink. The question is, can he make it through the turn 6 without an incident? As that has been where he's challenged himself the last few laps. Seems to have managed it with authority. He is on a charge. Back out onto the oval. Costa now down to a 35.5 second gap over second place Merchant. Folks, he is coming. He is not done yet. Costa with an early race mistake cost him tons of time on pit lane and on track with repairs and limping it to the box. Costa might have a shot to challenge second place Merchant for the win at the end of this race. The number 95 Cadillac is on rails right now. As we've talked, we've just lost another 7/10. We're down to 34.8, 34.9. He is charging forward. Flashing his lights at Groove Armada saying, dude, get out of my way. I am on a run. Second place Merchant, probably to feel the pressure soon. Now, that being said, Costa likely in 1 or 2 more laps as you start to see the wiggle there. Tires are likely falling off. Fuel is getting light in the number 95 machine. Merchant hanging in there, rock solid steady, keeping his head down, not stressing about the things he can't control. What can he control? What is right in front of him. Keep the car going the right way. Don't make any silly mistakes. Don't make any bad calls. Just focus on driving as he comes through the Le Mans chicane. And he is off his pace as well. He's off his pace a second further off than Daniel Costa is from his best lap. Costa down to 33.9 seconds, and it bounces back up as both of these drivers have approached straightaways. That's probably why that expanded a little bit. The gap down to 33.1, 33.2, 32.8. So now Costa fires it into the Le Mans chicane. Folks, Costa is inevitable. He is working his way to the front of the field. He stays out for one more lap. This will be his in lap. He has to make it a good one. Firing on all cylinders. Pushing the hybrid deployment as much as he can. Make the most of this. Make this a qualifying lap. Make it fast. Make it smooth, tidy. This is what he needs as he closes the gap even further to 32.5 seconds. Driving with a purpose is the number 95 of Daniel Costa for Trengy's racing team in the Cadillac this season. And boy, does it seem to suit him. 32.3 seconds, guys. The gap is diminishing at a rapid rate. Cam Bam now down into pit lane for his pit stop for fuel and tires. Merchant is going to open the door back up a little bit here, but where it's going to be a struggle. Merchant is off pit cycle here. These guys are a few laps off cycle. If the race falls Costa's way, it could benefit him at the end of the race. Costa will be diving into pit box this lap with just 1.3 liters left on board the number 95 Cadillac. Costa really knows how to call the pit number and the strategy as he will coast into pit box with 0.2 liters. Oh, nope, 0 liters of fuel as he crosses the line again. That is the precision that Costa has on display for us this evening. If he can make this a fast stop, fill up, change the tires, fast service is now second place Merchant. Hopes to open the gap over Costa. This race just got turned on its head, guys. Costa showing that he's got the pace to catch back up to the race leader with 31 minutes to go. Second place Merchant trying to hang on for this last two stints, make the best of his laps. Now, once again, Costa's using about 6 liters of fuel, 6 to 7 liters of fuel a lap. If we apply the same math to second place Merchant, that would put Merchant pitting in roughly, roughly 5 laps, maybe 6 laps, depending on the fuel usage that he's using on board. He's running pretty low on pace right now. I imagine there's a bit of a fuel save going on there as he's now past Daniel Costa in pit lane. But don't let that fool you, folks. Daniel Costa now has the fuel. He's at 109.8 liters. If he's using, we'll say 6.5 liters of fuel, he has 16.7 laps. So we're going to call it 16 laps of fuel on board that Cadillac machine. It's 24 laps. This race may be in his grasp. As the pit cycles out, this will be incredible to watch. Daniel Costa has to keep the car pointed the right way on his outlap. Make it count. Make the car smooth and tidy. Get the tires up to temp and hang on. Second place Merchant maintains the 1.5, the 1 minute 54 gap over Daniel Costa. But pit cycle might be his undoing. As he's got roughly 5 laps left in the tank of this car. Can he hold off Costa, who is on the warpath? On what would be one of the greatest recoveries I have witnessed in an ARL race. Folks, this is why you don't hang up the towel in an endurance race. You never know how things are going to shake out, whose strategy calls affect what. Costa very clean and tidy through the exit of 4, barreling through the turn 5 kink. Can he keep turn 6 clean? It's been his toughest spot on track all evening, and so far he is firing through a little bit wide on the exit Oh, not sure if I am disconnecting or that was just a lag spike. I think it was just a lag spike. Everything looks to be smooth on my end now. Little wide on the exit, but he's trimming the lead down even still, down to a 54-1. He came out in the high 54s, low 55s. With 28 minutes left, Costa really trying to recover here. 53 seconds. He is back to his pre-pit box pace. If he can close it down even further, we might have a race for P1 LMDH on our hands as second place Merchant starting to feel the pressure, and he's in the wall. This is going to be huge for Costa. If he can catch back up, he can gain his lap back before the pit cycles unfurl. Second place Merchant back out on track with a costly loss of time. That gap closed 11 seconds from that mistake as he starts to feel the pressure of the Season 1 prototype champ crawling back from the back of the field. Costa has moved up the field, he's moved down the field, and he's working on moving back up the field through turn 6 with the gap down to a minute 41. Guys, that is going to be an incredible blend when Merchant makes his final stop. At 26 minutes left, trying to do the math here to figure out about how many laps we've got left. Got about 16 laps left. If I'm doing my math right, 16 to 17 laps. However many hours in we are, you're doing a great job. Well, I appreciate that, Dan. I really do. I was worried I was going to be a little bit off my game with the fucking gnarly-ass migraine I had, but it's starting to simmer down, and the race is starting to heat up as Daniel Costa might be able to catch it back. Second place Merchant in pit lane, probably taking some repairs from the collision as well as fresh tires and fuel. And guys, I'm seeing raindrops on the track. This could shake things up as Costa now putting down lightning fast laps, trying to catch back up and close the gap on Merchant, but the rain may shake up the strategy. The question is, did Merchant predict this and switch to the wet compound? If not, both drivers will find themselves back on pit lane for tires. Thanks, Zaxby's, indeed, Dan. They really did come in and save the day. I cut grass early this morning, and grass pollen usually gives me bad headaches, and it was bad this morning. So, but I appreciate it. I'm glad glad you all are enjoying it. I'm having a blast watching this race unfurl. Daniel Costa not giving in yet. Despite the rain, he is hard charging. He's keeping a low line here. I expect to see Daniel Costa dive to pit lane for tires. He's not going to. He's going to stay out. And Merchant also out on track in a massive downpour. Rain coming down in sheets through the turn 5 kink. Second place Merchant now fires it through turn 6, just trying to keep it tidy. Costa now 18 seconds behind. If he can find the pace, he will be charging to the front as Merchant a little bit wide on the exit, fighting the grip here in the rain. Everybody now filtering through pit box for tires. Daniel Costa has a bit of an off, starting to lose the grip. The question is, what tires is second place Merchant running in the BMW? His pace leads me to believe he foresaw the rainstorm. Not a huge loss of pace. Costa able to at least put the hammer down on the back straight. I'm fairly confident Costa is running soft tires. He will need to get off of the soft tire, the slick tire, and put on the wets if he wants to have any hope of catching up to second place Merchant in this race. And if I was Costa, I would take a splash for fuel as Trango is off the track, way out of line on the Le Mans chicane. Teddy now in pit box for fuel and tires. Second place Merchant stays out. Daniel Costa will come in for tires. Is this the race decided? Did Merchant foresee this and put wet tires on? As we now watch second place Merchant try to keep an eye on any sort of counter steering or fighting that he has to do. Car seems to be relatively cooperative, but we don't know what tires second place Merchant is running. That is going to be the call. We check back in with our GT3 boys now that the pit cycles have sort of simmered down a little bit here. Teddy's Graphic currently leading Groove Armada by about 40 or 50 seconds. Trango in pit lane. Leaving pit lane, still has a commanding lead over the rest of the GT3 field, but Dan Shea starting to close the gap a little bit on Groove Armada. Groove had his pit stop in the previous lap or two. Dan Shea now coming out with a full tank of fuel as well, and DG8 hanging on in there, rounding out the top 5 of your GT3s. Daniel Costa back out on track on wet tires. Lost a bit of time in the exchange, but he has 21 minutes to close the gap. Depending on the strategy that second place Merchant is running, we can only speculate, but based on the fact that he has gone out for 3 more laps, I'm going to say Merchant saw the rain coming and changed his tire compound just before he boxed. And that may have been the decision to win the race. But he is slow on the corner entry, guys. It's hard to say. He's being very delicate with that car as Costa has already closed the gap back down to 56 seconds. Costa seems to be strong in the rain right now. Ted Piper back in pit lane. Seems that he just left pit lane, so I don't know if there was a mistake made on strategy calls or if something didn't get changed. Costa firing it through the turns 3 and 4. Hit a drive-through penalty. Oh! Well, I wonder why he got a drive-through penalty. That's not what I wanted to see. Daniel Costa down to 53 seconds. Seems he's lost a little bit of time over second place Merchant. Merchant really making a bit of a recovery of pace here. 58 seconds over Costa. Both drivers expected to be able to do the rest of the race on this stint. However, we still don't know what the weather will do. As now Teddy and Groove Armada right there. We ride on board with your Season 2 champion of GT3s, courtesy of Soap Specialty Operations and Products. as the thunderstorm rages on here at Daytona International Speedway for the final 18 minutes of our 2.5-hour endurance showdown. The ARL Summer Party has been a brutal, brutal event for most. Pacheco now back in pit lane. Teddy looking to recover some ground after a drive-through penalty. As the wash limits visibility so much in these GT3s. Carrying a lot of speed through the banked oval here. Early on the brakes into turn 1, but he keeps the line tidy. DG8 goes wide. Groove Armada somewhat follows, but maintains the position nonetheless as they shoot down into turn 4. Teddy really trying to peak on the inside here. A little bit early on the throttle, gets the car a bit out behind him. Loses a few tenths, but not losing sight of the tire or the taillights as we go through the turn 5 kink. Lightning ravishing the background of the field here. The thunderstorm moved in at the end of the race and threw everybody for a loop. As we now approach the turn 7 exit and go back trackside to watch this battle unfold between Groove Armada and Ted Piper. Daniel Costa still chiseling away the gap. 56 seconds now to second place Merchant. Unless Merchant has a massive mistake, that might be the end result for Daniel Costa. As we see Ted Piper really trying to catch back up here. Second place Merchant getting by Ted Piper. Trying to expand his gap over Daniel Costa. Groove Armada struggling a bit in the Corvette here in turn 1. Has had a bit of a problem going a tad bit wide trying to defend. The Corvette not really cooperating into turn 1, and he does go wide again and spins, and Ted Piper will get by. Going into turns 2 and 3, and just behind him is Trangese Designs in the 44 McLaren. A lap or so ahead. Daniel Costa's opened the gap again. He seems to have had a bit of an off down to 1 minute 2. Or up to 1 minute 2. Really, really unfortunate timing for this rainstorm. Costa was going to have a very good chance at a win, and I think the rain shuffled up the playing field just enough to cause a shakeup. As Merchant now leading Daniel Costa by minute 2, and that car seems to be very, very happily sitting where it is on the tires that it is. A little bit wide and messy on the exit. Just checking to see if we had any penalties here that would be of note. Not really. And second place Merchant now crosses the line for lap 76, or 77. I think he starts lap 77 here. Oh, no, he's on lap 76. I apologize. What a drive, man. This guy has kept it pretty clean everywhere he needed to. Got a little bit of pressure earlier and went wide, slipped and had a mistake, but it doesn't seem to have affected the race too much. That mistake got saved by this rainstorm, and what seems to be a bold, brave, and very race-saving strategy call to switch back to the wets for this final stint. He pit just on the cusp of the rain moving in. As the thunderstorm now raging over the racetrack, and something tells me that the time cycle is maybe not 100% correct, as it's now nighttime again. But that is okay. Second place Merchant now 1 minute 2 second gap over Daniel Costa. Folks, it's been a heck of a race. Really has. Thought for a moment this guy right here had a great chance to win it. Unfortunately, Mother Nature did not agree. She dumped a huge thunderstorm on us here in the last 20 minutes. And it shuffled up the strategy a bit for the number 95 Cadillac. But I'd like to give a round of applause to all these drivers that have stuck it out this long. This is an intense, very physical, very demanding race. And massive props to everybody who's kept it together for 2 hours and 19 minutes. I apologize. 2 hours and 19 minutes. Very impressive driving from everybody. Glad to see everybody here. Keeping it mostly in one piece. As we get ready to shoot up to Spa in Barcelona. Not Spa, Barcelona, Catalonia will be our next AMS2 event. And that will be IMSA Season 3's launch, the opener for the season. While we've got a little bit of a lull, I'm once again going to go back and thank our fantastic sponsors here at ARL. I'd like to thank Specialty Operations and Product, these guys right here, for everything they do to help the league. Great, Dan Shea's great guy, great driver, very class act, fun to race against him on the track. I've gotten a few opportunities to go wheel to wheel with him, and we appreciate everything that Soap does behind the scenes. We'd also like to thank VPG Racing Wheels for generously donating fantastic discount vouchers on their store for championship winners in the IMSA and Formula USA series. Very, very kind. Thank you so much to VPG for helping us out there. Thank you, Security Solutions, for everything you guys do. On the back end, they've jumped in and helped us with some of the server stuff, server expenses and whatnot. And it's a company Sean Stewart works for, and they do fantastic things for us. So we greatly thank them. I'd also like to thank SimGrid for being the platform to host these events, accept registrations, accept championship standings, follow points, follow the race schedule. We really appreciate SimGrid. As Sean goes a little bit wide, keeps it back on the track there. So yes, thank you, SimGrid. And once again, as always, not including myself, I'd like to thank the ARL staff and admin team for everything they do for the sim racing community on PC and beyond. If you check out the SimGrid page, you can find all of the ARL events from console to PC, from Le Mans Ultimate to AMS2 to, I believe we've got a Gran Turismo League starting as well on PlayStation, although I'm not positive. So really, really appreciate everything ARL does. They've got a fantastic bunch of drivers here, some of the fastest, in my opinion, on the PC space. Some of the cleanest and the most entertaining driving and racing I've gotten to experience as a very, very novice, casual sim racer. Lots of fun racing with these guys. Hope to see many more series to come. And who knows? Maybe I'll be behind the broadcast of a future series. It's hard for me to justify stepping away from the IMSA stuff and the Formula USA because I just really love driving in those. But who knows? Might see another series pop up in the future and give me an opportunity to get behind the mic. I appreciate all the love everybody's given me for the broadcast booth. Big shoes to fill between Sean and Groove. Both of those guys did a fantastic job behind the microphone. And really just thrilled they gave me the opportunity and the platform to be behind the mic for some of these events. It's been a lot of fun watching strategies unfold, watching races play out. And I appreciate everything that all the kind words everybody has said. I thank all of you for the confidence and the generosity to the broadcasts. I vote trophy trucks, stadium trucks. Yeah, that'd be a good one. I definitely wouldn't race in that one, so I could get behind the mic on that one. The transmissions are real finicky with me on those. It's kind of hard for me to find the ideal setup for those because I think they're sequential. They're they're almost automatic sequentials, and I don't think AMS2 likes to model them any other way. So I end up burning up my transmission in 10 laps. And they're a challenge. But I'd watch the shit out of that. Wouldn't mind seeing a Porsche Cup race, like the Cup car race, or like an MX-5 Cup car race. Like one of the slower class cars, I'd absolutely be behind watching one of the Spec Series races. The Ginetta is a great one. A lot of fun to drive. The Ginetta, actually, the G40 Cup car is one of my favorite cars to race in AMS2. I would absolutely adore watching a league series behind the Ginetta. As Groove Armada now closing the gap on Ted Piper to 4 seconds and some change. Also, I would like to, post thanking all of our sponsors. I'd also like to thank everybody out there watching the broadcast through the thick and the thin, the disconnects, the frame drops for whatever reason. My internet was being a bitch early, got that fixed, and then I think Twitch decided to be a bitch later. So I appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out for the dips in performance on the stream and the rises back in the performance. Not sure what was going on there, but seems to have all ironed itself out for the most part as we approach the last 5 minutes of this event. What an event it has been. A lot of attrition, a lot of drivers just struggled, couldn't find the pace, or retired due to damage. Looks like somebody had a blown engine, which is always unfortunate to see. But I appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. If you don't follow America's Racing League, definitely follow them. Feel free to follow me, but I do other things on this stream. I don't just stream races. I usually don't stream on Sundays, but couldn't miss this event. It's too good. But check ARL out, America's Racing League, on SimGrid. Should be able to find a Discord join link to America's Racing League, as well as all the registrations for the events that are available. Second place Merchant, down to 36.8 liters. Should be just enough to finish the event as Daniel Costa trailing behind, hoping for a last-minute mistake, or maybe even a potential, oh shit, he has to pit. But I don't think it's going to happen. Let's ride on board with Merchant here and see if we can determine whether or not this fella's going to have to pit again. As I mentioned before, he does seem to be running lighter on his pace. He's not running as fast as he normally does. He's been about 2 to 5 seconds off his fastest lap. That time he was 10 seconds off. Caught a little bit of traffic. But that leads me to believe he is saving fuel and he is saving tires. As he comes through the turn 2 and 3 complex, who is that behind him? Is that Cambam? Or is that... Who was that? Pacheco? Holy shit, Pacheco. Massive off for Anthony Pacheco in the number 88 machine. Not sure where the front of his car has gone. But I guess he's a little lighter without it, so... You know, teach their own. The stewards aren't calling him in. Go for it. Jump back up to second place Merchant now. The gap opened to 1 minute 2.9. Costa just kind of hanging out in that region. Ted Piper and Groove Armada still within about 6 seconds of each other. Groove just waiting for Teddy to make a mistake to try and capitalize. The Corvette has definitely been a challenge to keep under the hands of Groove Armada. A very challenging GT3 car to drive. Not a lot of people elect to drive it, but the folks that do and the folks that find the pace in it, man, it is a fast car. And it seems Groove has found a rhythm. See what I did there? With the car, as now second place Merchant crosses the line. Massive fuel saving indeed. So he's using 5.9 liters per lap. But he should have it. With 1:02 left in the race, barring any sort of crazy mishap, second place Merchant will be your race winner. Daniel Costa on a massive comeback will be P2. We're down to the last 60 seconds. It is now or never for drivers like Groove Armada who are just outside of striking distance and really need to make it happen. They will likely have 3 more laps coming across the line, 2 more laps at least. So the rain starts to fall again this evening here at Daytona. Groove working to recover any sort of track position lost. With a beaten and battered Corvette. Doing a good job keeping everything planted and in one piece. As Merchant will have another 2 laps. He sandbagged there to try to get the extra lap to not fly. Did not work. The timer is expired. He will have to complete this lap and 1 more. The gap down to 50 seconds only because he mashed the brakes to try to end this race just a little quicker. Did not happen. But he's still not feeling any pressure from the cars behind him. Groove Armada still hanging out about 5 seconds behind Ted Piper. Trango commanding the GT3s with smoke coming out of the rear. Could that be a motor failure from Trangies? Black smoke billowing from the back of the McLaren machine of the McLaren machine of Trangies Designs. Seems to have simmered down a little bit. Can't tell if it's brakes or what. That definitely doesn't look like wash from the track, though. Trango definitely struggling with some mechanical issue, I believe, although watching, maybe it is just wash from the track and it looks like black smoke, because that looked about the same. So disregard. It's just dark and all the water looks like smoke, I guess. The second place Merchant now on his final lap. Has to be perfect. Cannot make any massive mistakes, lest it cost him a potential victory. And he does make a mistake. Dips his tires going into the turn 5 kink. Manages to recover it. Probably needs to change his driver's suit after that, because that was frighteningly close to being a massive mistake on the final lap. Kept his head buried. Good recovery. Just has to make it through a couple more corners to claim victory at Daytona in the 2.5-hour endurance race. Firing down the back straight and into the Le Mans chicane with surgical precision. Folks, this is why second place Merchant was your Season 2 champion. Because he knows how to get it done when he needs to get it done. Saves the fuel when he has to save the fuel. Makes the right strategy calls. And brings it home in one piece. Your 2.5-hour Daytona winner is second place Merchant in the number 19 Trangies Racing Team BMW. Daniel Costa will take second place, most likely, barring any sort of wild, crazy upset. Daniel Costa will round out second place. Cam Bam will be P3 in the number 5 machine. Jay Fitzy, P4. And Anthony Pacheco, still with no front clip, in P5, closing out the LMDH class. Trangies Designs will take P1 in the number 44 McLaren. Groove Armada takes P2. Got around Ted. We missed that. My apologies. Groove Armada takes P2 from Ted in the GT3 class. Ted Piper ran out of fuel on the final lap. Cam Bam trying to push him. That's not how folks, this is how we make Porsche Cup cars. Ted Piper will return to pits with a very unfortunate strategy call there at the end, which will bring Sean Stewart, I believe, up to third in the number 13 Soap Porsche. And DG8, in I believe his first ARL race, will come home in fifth, rounding out your GT3 class. Massive, massive drive from all of these guys. All these drivers did a great job. Really appreciate them sticking out the event, sticking out the race. This is a long one. It's a tough one. But how about a hand for second place Merchant? Commanded the field from the drop of the green just about. Once he got past Costa, he put the pressure down, and with an early race mistake, Costa just couldn't recover. And even when he did, Merchant made the right strategy call that ultimately resulted in a win. Massive, massive props to the race winners, all the drivers that raced and that participated and that finished. Really appreciate everybody doing this. 2.5 hours is a tough race. It is a challenge. But these guys did it. His Teddy's still stuck out on track. Groove Armada got by at the last minute due to a fuel issue on Teddy's part. Ran out of fuel. Second place merchant Daniel Costa and Cam Bam will be your top 3 in prototypes. Trangies Designs, Groove Armada, and Sean Stewart will be your top 3 in GT3. No LMP2s completed tonight's event. Folks, I want to thank all of you for tuning in and hanging out. I want to thank all the ARL sponsors, and I want to thank all of ARL for putting on this wonderful event. Had a lot of fun broadcasting, and hope you had a lot of fun watching it. It was a great race. Got a little strung out there in the middle, but things started to get exciting there towards the end, and we have crowned another fantastic win for second place merchant. The dude is not giving up. Very strong driver this season in IMSA, and I think he is going to be a strong contender in Season 3. But folks, that's all I've got for you tonight. I will be out of AMS2 until the Tuesday after this coming Tuesday, so I will not be in Round 1 IMSA. I will be busy with the Street Rod Nationals, but I'll be back in the seat for Formula USA Round 10 at Virginia, and I will be back in the seat every Tuesday after that. So thank you so much for tuning in for tonight's 2.5-hour ARL Summer Party at Daytona. It was a great race. Chaos everywhere, but we did it. Hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one. Good night, guys.